Oxtoby is a researcher at Freedom Under Law. Chris, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Mlambo, as we've just seen, a very long career, done many different things in the judiciary. How would you describe his judicial attitude? I suppose what I'm really asking is, if you look at the track record of his judgments, would he be described as progressive, executive-minded? I'm sure you'll have better words than I do.
I would say a progressive-minded judge. I certainly don't think an executive-minded judge. I think his track record as head of the Gauteng High Court, which the report referenced, shows his involvement in a lot of very important cases, especially in the sort of the pushback against the state capture era. He's been an important figure in that, and in so doing, I think he becomes a lightning rod for some criticism of the judiciary. But I certainly wouldn't have concerns about an unduly deferential or pro-executive judge. I think he's someone who is open and aware of the need for the judiciary to modernize, for the judiciary to innovate. He's been very central to introducing case flow management reforms, electronic court filing processes in Gauteng. He's really championed and driven that process. And so I think in addition to the jurisprudence, I think he can play a potentially very significant role in a leadership role in the context of a constitutional court and a judiciary as a whole that is really struggling with high caseloads and the infrastructural backlogs and so forth.
Let's talk about administration for a moment. Gauteng, as we know, by far the busiest judicial division. Are these reforms that he might be able to help implement across the country, obviously in conjunction with the Chief Justice, Mandisa Maya?
I would expect so. I mean, Gauteng was very much at the forefront of these initiatives, and they have already been steps to roll them out in other high courts around the country. So I think those particular measures, I would expect to see them continuing. But I think they also speak a lot to his mindset and to his approach as a leader. I think he strikes me as someone who is not defensive about maintaining the way things are for the sake of them. I think he's someone who is alive to challenges and is open to taking on board different solutions to address them. And I think that's going to be really important, because there's no question it's going to be a tremendously difficult job for him and for other judicial leaders to try and address the kind of challenges that I've mentioned the judiciary is facing. But I think we can expect him to serve in this position with the approach that he's already shown as a leader in other courts, of really trying to tackle and be innovative in how these kind of challenges are dealt with.
In the past, we've seen a Deputy Chief Justice often as someone who may one day take over the top job. Former Chief Justice Raymond Zondo was Deputy Chief Justice, of course, before he became the Chief Justice. But in this case, Chief Justice Maya, just appointed, as I understand it, able to serve in that role for actually quite a long time. That would seem probably that's not going to happen in the case of now Deputy Chief Justice Mlambo. It seems unlikely that he will be part of the succession.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, purely on a question of tenure, I understand that Justice Maya has around 10 years that she can serve if she serves her full tenure. Justice Mlambo has about, if my math serves me, around 4 years. I think his tenure will expire in 2029. So this is certainly not going to be a case of succession planning. I think it's much more a case of an appointment being made for what his expertise and experience will bring to the role now. All other things being equal, it's more likely that the next appointment to that role after him will form the part of some kind of succession planning. Of course, it's often the case that the deputy succeeds to the position of Chief Justice, but there are also examples, Dikgang Moseneke very prominently, where that doesn't happen. So it's not completely unprecedented that we have a Deputy Chief Justice who may rise no higher.
I mean, as you say, of course, correct, it is not unprecedented. I do wonder, though, if it may be a little frustrating for him. I mean, can you really carve a role as Deputy Chief Justice? So if you're Deputy Chief Justice and people are aware you may one day take over, people will often treat you in a particular way. If it's obvious that you are only going to be the Deputy, they may not.
So I think it's an interesting question, and there is, just from the title of Deputy Chief Justice, I think it might be easy to underplay the importance of the role. But the position does carry some really quite weighty responsibilities. Now, obviously, the role will be subject to the vision and direction that the Chief Justice, who is ultimately the head of the judiciary, will have. But within that, there's plenty of scope for the deputy to make their mark. I mean, to give just one example, it's been a matter of consistent practice that the Deputy Chief Justice chairs the Judicial Conduct Committee, which is the first port of call in dealing with complaints against judges. And I'm sure, as people are aware, that is an area which has been greatly contested. The insert played, we saw Justice Mlambo, in fact, talking about the weaponization of the complaints process. So he has an opportunity there, for example, to really make a mark. I think there are many concerns about how inefficiently that process has been working. So he has the opportunity to make an impact there, and there'll be other similar areas, again, subject to the Chief Justice's overall guidance, where he can make an impact. He may well preside in many cases. The Constitutional Court, if the Chief Justice is not around, for example. And I think if one looks at his career path as a whole, I would very much expect that it'll be a case of him really making the best that he can of the time he has in that position, rather than hankering after what might have been for the top job.
Chris Oxtoby, thanks very much indeed, researcher at Freedom Under Law.